You have to know this. The fact that I'm here matters. The fact that you're there matters. This is no accident. None of us are.
هذه هي قوة مصر.
لقد قررت أن أتنحى تماماً.
Red everywhere, essentially, down by 4-5%. We're down over 16%.
Mr. Gorbachev, open this gate.
Because the Muhammad Ali Joe Frazier is going to meet is going to be better than the Muhammad Ali.
Our country is strong. A great people has been moved to defend a great nation.
نريدها قومة ونهضة إسلامية.
سنعود إلى كويتنا كما عهدناها دار أمن وأمان.
Yes, we can.
من كوالالمبور عاصمة ماليزيا. ماليزيا هذا البلد الناشئ والذي يعرف كأحد أفضل الأمثلة على التنمية. تعود هذه التنمية بفضل الله ثم بفضل رجل يطلق عليه الناس هنا الدكتور مهاتير محمد. كان في البداية طبيباً ولكنه عزم أن يعالج وطنه ويجعل منه الوطن الذي نراه اليوم. سنناقشه هنا في مكتبه في كوالالمبور لنناقش هذه الوصفة الطبية التي أخذت بماليزيا من القاع إلى بلد بمصاف الدول الصناعية.
قائد امتزجت نجاحاته بطموحات أمته، كالحلم مرت السنوات ليصنع معجزة نمر آسيوي ناهض منتفض من بين تخلف وتفتت تراكم عبر السنين. أفكاره كانت بمثابة الإكسير الذي حول رماد التخلف إلى ذهب وألماس النهضة. هو مؤسس ورائد الطفرة الشاملة في ماليزيا الحديثة. حلق في سماء عالم السياسة ببلاده رافعاً شعار النظافة والكفاءة والأمانة، فأصبح أسطورة خالدة في تاريخ النمور الآسيوية. إنه الأسطورة والرمز، صاحب المعجزة الاقتصادية والنهضة الشاملة، رئيس وزراء ماليزيا السابق الدكتور مهاتير محمد.
ولد مهاتير محمد في ديسمبر عام 1925. درس وامتهن الطب في بدايات حياته بين أوساط الفقراء، وفي إحساسه بالمسؤولية تجاه مستقبل التنمية في ماليزيا ألف كتاب عام 1970 يحمل اسم معضلة الملايو. هذا الكتاب أثار ضجة واسعة هنا في ماليزيا، حيث اتهم الشعب الماليزي بالخمول والكسل وطالبهم بثورة كبرى تأخذ ماليزيا إلى مصاف الدول المتقدمة في العالم. وفعلا بدأت رحلة التنمية والإصلاح في عام 1981 عندما تولى مهاتير محمد رئاسة الوزراء، واتبع خطة أعدها بنفسه تحمل اسم خطة 2020. امتدت فترة حكم مهاتير محمد إلى قرابة 22 عام، وتعد هذه الفترة من أطول فترات الحكم في قارة آسيا.
السلام عليكم. Dr. Mahathir, how's everything? Thank you for having us. Thank you very much. Take a seat. Thank you for having us. Beautiful country, beautiful Malaysia.
Thank you.
As they say, the truly Asia. Thank you for giving us this time. It is really a pleasure. We waited for this interview for a long time. We wanted to start, Doctor, with your early days. Why I'm saying that? Because people have loved your achievement, your leadership period, but not many know your story from the beginning. So if we go back to your early days, What took you into public affairs?
Actually, I was brought up in a small town where I could see the differences in the wealth of the different ethnic groups in Malaysia. In Malaysia, we have three different people.
Yes.
The indigenous Malays, the Chinese, and the Indians. And the indigenous Malays were very poor. So I wondered why they are poor. And I thought that if there is anything that could be done to enrich them, to bring them up to the same level of the other races, then I think it should be done. And but of course, at that time, I had no power. I could only talk to my schoolmates and try to do something in the political arena, especially when the British wanted to take over full control over Malaysia. So that time we went to fight.
So it's that feeling where you felt that people are not equal. Is that what dragged you into public affairs?
Yes, inequality, extreme inequality within the different races living in Malaysia.
And do you think equality is always leads to justice?
Well, when you have a big difference between rich and poor, then the tendency is for confrontation between the poor and the rich, and this destabilizes the society. So it is good to be as nearly equal as possible so that the disparity doesn't create bad feelings between different people.
You wrote articles from when you were in high school, and usually you do them with a different name. You studied then medicine. From politics to medicine, why medicine?
Actually, I was more interested in politics than in medicine. But in order to be effective, I need to have some high level of education. And I was given a scholarship to study medicine. And I know that if I become a doctor, more people would listen to me than if I were just a schoolboy.
Toon, you became a doctor. You practiced medicine for a year. Then you published a book where I want to stop here for a moment. Usually any politician talks or says to the people what they want to hear. You said exactly the opposite. Why?
Well, if you want to do something positive, you must be factual in what you say. If you see poverty, you must say it is poverty. And you must also know some ways of overcoming that poverty. But if you see people who are poor and you tell them you are rich, I think it's not going to solve any problem. It will make them very angry.
So it's not that simple. You said to your people, some of your people, you're lazy. Even your books were stopped, not because you attacked the system, you attacked the people. It's not about only saying poor and rich. You said many things. What made you say that truth?
I believe that people can only do well if they are hardworking, if they are honest, if they are very trustworthy, and people can believe what they say, then they will succeed. But I find that many people from my own community do not work hard enough. So I have to tell them, you are lazy. And I have to tell them that you have to be honest, to be trustworthy, so that people will then do business with you, have something to do with you. But if you are not trustworthy, nobody will interact with you.
But this is not the easiest way to power. You went to power in a very huge speed by saying the opposite. This is not how it is known about politicians. You know, some even Churchill says that you can't have a politician and a truthful guy in the same person. It is either this or that, but you break that law. What made you believe that by saying truth, you lead people? What gave you that trust?
Well, everybody wants to have a good life, but they know they are not having a good life. And I have to tell them why they are not having a good life. What is wrong with them? What is wrong with their value system, their culture? And how can we change this if they want to have a good life? So I not only remark about their bad qualities, but also how they can overcome their present situation and become as good as other people. So they know that I criticize them because I want them to know what is wrong with them and how they can overcome their present position and be like other people.
Tun, is the Tun, or did the Tun had a goal to lead this country from the beginning? Have you seen yourself as a leader of this country from the beginning?
Well, I lived during the period when the British ruled Malaysia, and we were regarded as very lazy, stupid people. It's not something that we enjoy to be given such a description and to be looked down upon by the British as people who are not capable of ruling their own country. I feel that I am being insulted by them. So to overcome that, I feel that we should change and achieve success.
Achieving success usually faces big problems that need solution, and whenever you reach those solutions, you achieve success like you did. But one of the main things that you faced is that, as you said in the beginning, Malaysia is break down into 3 different races that is spread all over Asia. How did you manage to bring them all together?
You know, I think Malaysia has got indigenous people and people who migrate to Malaysia and became citizens of Malaysia. And these people who are successful, the migrants who are successful, know that they can only be successful if the country is at peace, is stable. I pointed out to them that this disparity between rich and poor, between different races, will lead to instability. And if it leads to instability, they will suffer, because then they cannot be successful in their business.
Now, any leader might be hearing this interview would dream to reach what you reached as a leader. Would you tell him that a way to reach success is by convincing his own people, or he can force his people to success? Can he do that?
What I find generally is that leaders who want to change their people and ensure success for their people are reluctant to criticize their own people, to tell their own people where they go wrong, what are the wrong values that holds them back. If you don't identify and tell people that they are doing the wrong things, you cannot correct. They will not accept your advice. You have to relate the wrong things with the level of success they achieve. If you point out that if they change and don't do the wrong things, don't have wrong values, then they themselves are quite capable of succeeding.
Tun, when we talk about success here in this country, we refer to many things. You change this country from a country that depends on agriculture to a country that over 80% of its income comes from industry. You even change the salaries from a minimum wage of something around 600 or even less to thousands of dollars. That isn't easy. This is something that every society would dream to have a leader to do that. Tell us, what is the main success that you feel proud of? What is the main thing that you think that you gave Malaysia, the most important thing?
Well, I feel that I have been able to keep this country stable and peaceful while improving their standards of living. Normally, if you try to change radically, people will not accept the change and the country will be destabilized, and an unstable country cannot make progress.
So the main thing is stability in a country?
Yes, stability is very important.
But this is not what we are seeing now in the world. When people seek success, we lose stability because for the sake of success. So you're now changing the thing that we all say. So you're saying that we need to reach stability. How stability is important?
Stability is important because if people feel that when they invest, for example, they will lose money because the country is not stable, they will not invest. So we point out to them that people will enjoy the benefits of investment, like creation of jobs, if they don't create problems. If they are forever fighting each other, people will not invest and there will be no jobs. So the country, they will feel the strain of living as poor people, and the country will not progress.
Did you use stability as a title? People say that. I saw that in many episodes on TV and interviews with you, where they say that you used stability, a cover to put many people in jail. Is that true?
It is not true at all. I was, when I was made Prime Minister, I led 5 elections, and during the elections, I won with a big majority. Now, if the people do not like me, then they will not support me for 22 years. So it must be because I have done something right for them. At the same time, of course, it is not like 99% success in election. A lot of the opposition also win and even manage to control different states in the country. So it is a democratic process, and in a democratic process of election, it is whether you are popular or not that determines whether you are supported or not. So if I am not popular, if what I did was wrong, I doubt whether I could win elections 5 times.
في 5:50 مساء من يوم 22 من يونيو عام 2002 كانت ماليزيا على موعد لم تشأ يوما أن تشهده، موعد كفراق الأب لأبنائه، موعد اتخذ فيه مهاتير محمد قرارا حاسما بالاستقالة من رئاسة الحزب الحاكم ورئاسة الوزراء. اتخذ القرار مهاتير بعد أن شهد بعينه نتائج وثمرة ما قام به طوال السنين. اتخذ هذا القرار ليترك المجال أمام أشخاص آخرين يحملون بعده رسالة النهضة والتنمية في ماليزيا والعمل من أجل الوطن.
We've met with President Gorbachev and President F.W. de Klerk. They both agreed on that every society has the right to create their own democracy. What do you think?
Well, everybody must understand the environment in which they operate. Let's take Gorbachev. He did not reveal his ideas about perestroika and all that until he reaches the top. When he had all the power, then he revealed what he intended to do. But he was very smart. He didn't tell anything about what he wants to do until he is in the position with the power to do it.
Toon, you said now you're talking about how a leader might have certain beliefs. That doesn't say that for people. Do you think that a leader should do what the people tell him to do, or should he lead even if his people look somewhere else?
Well, a leader must listen to his followers to know what it is that they are unhappy about. Then a leader must find a solution and explain that solution to his followers so that they believe in in his solution and supports him while he carries out the solution. So a leader must not impose upon people his ideas. He must sell his ideas to his people.
It is a fact, Toon, that many people in your journey in politics and in success try to stop stability, and they turn to be in jail. Do you think that a leader should be even tough when someone risks the stability?
The solution is not always to arrest and jail people. The solution is to have a dialogue with them, to explain what you are doing. If they can have a face-to-face dialogue, that's good. But if they don't, you have to explain generally what you are doing and why you are doing it and what would be the result. In other words, you must be a good salesman of your ideas. If you try to force people to buy your ideas when they don't want to buy it, then of course you will have resistance from people, even violence from people.
But let's talk about, I want to push you to that area, please. You needed to use power against your own people sometimes. Talk about that. I know it's a hard decision to take people that are risking stability to jail, but it is a decision that you took.
There is a belief that I arrest people for no reason and put them in jail and all that. That is not true. If you look at the facts, I didn't arrest people, except when they break the law. But when I became Prime Minister, the first thing I did was to release people who were detained because of political differences. They were all released because I don't believe that that is a right way to do things. In fact, these people I released who were against the government became my very good supporters because they understand what I was trying to do. So I think in handling a problem, there are many ways, many approaches. But if you tend to use power all the time, you will lose out.
Toon, usually nowadays, any country that seeks improvement would rely on the West. You didn't do that. You relied on what?
Well, I think that since we have accepted democracy, which means that you can only have power if you are supported by the people, you have to spend time trying to get the people to understand what you are doing and why you are doing and what benefits they will get. If you can explain to them, I think they will support you. That is why I won elections 5 times in a row, and I had no problem with violence or instability during the periods when I was Prime Minister, because all the time I explain to people and they can see results. If I say we need to build a road and we will cost money, they see the road, they know the money has been spent and they can use the road and it's good for them. So they support you.
You did them all, but I would like to say the 3 things, one of the main things that you achieved, and I want you to choose one as the most important thing. Is it stability? Is it economy? And is it democracy or the union of the country? Which one is the most thing that you're proud of?
The most important is stability. Without stability, there will be no economic development. There will be no good life for the people because they will not be employed. We don't believe in giving money to people. We believe that if we create jobs for them, they can work and earn money. That is more satisfying to them. But if they are not skillful, not knowledgeable, we give them training and we educate them. So the level of education must be raised so that they can benefit from the new kind of work that they have to do.
We talked about success, but I want to steal that success to my region. So I wanted to know, is the only path to success is through democracy? Do you believe that?
Well, democracy is not the easiest system to make, to carry out, because there are many forces in a democracy, and they all fight against each other. There is the government, there is the people, there are the NGOs. Everybody wants to have a say in the running of the country. But if the government wants to stay in power, it must listen to the people and try to meet their interests as much as possible. At the same time, of course, the government must come up with ideas which are good for the country and which can be accepted by the people.
Let me rephrase it. The West always say that the only path to success is democracy. What do you think? Do you agree with the West?
Well, it is the best system of government that has ever been devised by man. Of course, there have been other systems like monarchies, and in the history of the world, you find some great monarchs who have done very good things for their country, but because of the absolute power, they are always open to abuses. But a democracy is good because if you abuse the power, you will be thrown out by the people. So in that sense, it is very good, but it is also a very difficult system to make to be used by any country.
I had a chat yesterday with one businessman, a Chinese businessman here in Malaysia, and I told him, what's the best thing about your democracy? He said that usually in any democracy, change is always a must. Every 4 years, different people. He said that here we created our own democracy, where we had a leader like Dr Mahathir, which led the country for 22 years. Don't that give us a clue that there is other different systems might lead a country to success? What do you think?
Yeah, but the changes in the leadership, the ability to change the leader is very important. But it is not necessary that you change because you can change. In my case, if I perform well, they will continue to accept me as a leader. But if I fail, they will throw me out. So in that case, democracy is better than a monarchy or a dictatorship, where you cannot change even when obviously he is doing the wrong things. That is the good thing about democracy.
Now, when we talk about the West, you have great point of views that I've read in your books and in your interviews. You always say, for example, or you're one of the few that says that America goes after Israel, not the other way around, for example, that America is, or the United States of America is led by Israel. Can you just explain that statement?
Well, America claims to be a democracy.
Oh, so you believe that America isn't a democratic country?
It is not a perfect democracy, because in elections for the president, for example, only a small percentage of the people participate in the voting. A large number of people do not vote at all, do not care to vote at all. So it is actually the decision of a small number of people. But while America believes in democracy for America, it doesn't believe in democracy for the United Nations, for example, or for the rest of the world. In fact, it wants to change government, not through democratic means, They want regime change, and in order to achieve regime change, they are willing to invade and kill people so that you can change your government into a government that is friendly towards America. That's not democracy. There are many, many things that are done by America that is not democratic.
You seeked justice, you seeked stability. Let's talk about justice. What makes things justice? Does equality always define justice? For example, I asked that for F.W. de Klerk, and he said no. So I wanted to know, because you're closer to us than him, tell us, is equality always result?
No, equality by itself does not ensure that there will be justice. There are certain limits to equality. We are different in terms of our culture, in terms of our sexes. I mean, a man is not equal to a woman is not equal to a man. We are made differently. So you can't establish absolute equality. There will be some areas where there should be equality. Discrimination in terms of employment, for example, is not something that we should do because it is unfair. But on the other hand, if you want equality, you have to take into consideration the capability of each person or each country. We can't have equality between Malaysia and America because they are powerful. We are not powerful. But equality before the law is possible between the United States and Malaysia. And for that purpose, we must always have good laws, which we all must obey, whether we are big or small, powerful or weak. Then that will be equality before the law. But equality in terms of force, strength and all that, we cannot achieve.
هو قائد امتزجت نجاحاته بطموحات شعبه. سنوات مرت كالحلم ليصنع معجزة النمر الآسيوي المنتفض بعد سنوات متراكمة من الفشل. أفكاره كانت بمثابة السر الذي حول رماد الفشل إلى ذهب النهضة. هو مؤسس الحركة الاقتصادية الكبرى في ماليزيا، حلق في سماء السياسة رافعا شعار النظافة والكفاءة والأمانة، فأصبح بعد ذلك اسما خالدا في قارة آسيا.
Do you think that the United Nations reflect justice?
It can be made to reflect justice. Unfortunately, the United Nations still carries the weight of the baggage of the last war 70 years ago, 60 years ago. And it gives 5 countries absolute power to negate the findings of 190 other countries. It's not democratic. You cannot have a veto power. In a democratic institution, nobody should be given special rights to deny the rights of the majority. But that United Nations is not democratic at all because it has 5 superpowers who can deny the rights of the rest of the members of the United Nations.
Let's talk in a more positivity. Don't you think that there is a good reason behind the veto?
Well, there are good reasons, but always in any society, everyone is equal before the law. Whether you are rich or poor, you are powerful or weak, you must be equal before the law. And that should be the basis of the United Nations, not strength. If you think about one country becoming policeman of the world, you are giving that country too much strength. I mean, when it abuses that power, you can't do anything because he's using force in order to carry out his work.
When we talk about the veto, you said that there is good things. Didn't you practice some vetoes when you lead this country?
Now, if I keep on vetoing, I'll be thrown out of office. But we cannot throw the United States or China or Russia out of office. If it is based on election, then if they give you veto power, if you abuse veto power, they can change you. But in the United Nations, for the last 70 years almost, these 5 countries have veto powers and nobody can say anything against them.
Now I'm here with a leader that everyone looks up to. I want to ask you, what do you think the main reason behind wars happening now in the world? Is it religion? What is it exactly?
What is happening now is that the powerful countries, particularly the United States, wants to impose its system on the rest of the world.
What system? Democracy?
Well, what they call democracy. To do that, they are willing to fight and kill people. This idea that you must change regime and therefore you can have a good government is not correct. When you change regime, you may have a worse regime. This happens in so many countries, even in Egypt, even in Libya, even in Yemen. We try to change the government. The only result is that people get killed, countries get destroyed, but you don't achieve good government.
So you think that the Arabian Spring isn't a good thing that happened?
I don't think it is a spring at all. It's more like autumn and winter, because before you are not fighting and killing each other. Yes, you have some bad government, but you're not killing each other the way you are killing and destroying the country. Look at what is happening in Syria, what is happening in Yemen. Yes, they had bad government, but to overcome bad government, there are other ways, peaceful ways. You have to spread the idea of democracy until people understand what democracy is all about. How do you make it work? But the people in these countries have not known democracy, do not know how it works, and they do not want to accept losing an election. When they lose an election, they take to the streets and demonstrate. But if you accept democracy, you lose an election, you wait until the next election and try again. But we see no such thing happening.
Going back to Iraq, the subject of the world now is ISIS. Who do you think is behind ISIS, or the main reason behind the existence of ISIS?
There is a civil war in Syria, and the government is said to be backed by Russia, and the rebels are backed by the United States. The rebels are divided into many factions. They are not one unit. There are many units. And the Americans supplied them with guns, with money and training so that they can fight against the government. They took the gun, they took the money, they took the training, and they set their own, they have their own idea. They want to use that to establish what they call an Islamic State. So now you have each. Who supplied them with the money? They didn't have the money. They didn't have the guns. You look at the guns, they are not guns made by Arabs. They are weapons made by America and maybe other countries. So it's outside people who made them fight and give them the means to fight a war, and now they're using that means to fight their own particular, to achieve their own particular objective.
To Mahathir, many people and many groups in the Middle East believe that they want to change their system into an Islamic system, and this is a good excuse to stop stability. What do you think?
Yes, the Islamic system is a good system, but what you consider to be the Islamic system is not. It does not follow the teachings of Islam. For example, most Muslim countries do not respect the teachings of Islam. You are supposed to rule with fairness, you don't oppress people, you must always uphold justice. All these things are in the Quran, but we don't follow. We are told that all Muslims are brothers. But we kill each other, we fight each other.
But for this is like what's happening in Syria. They're killing each other to bring an Islamic system. What do you think?
I don't think that is the way. There are other ways of bringing about an Islamic system, not necessarily by war, not necessarily by killing. Because if you look at the Western countries, they became democratic in a very slow process, slight changes every time, until the people understand the new system. But when you have an authoritarian system, overnight you become democratic. People cannot understand how it works. That is why the democratic system has not worked in most of the Arab countries, in the Muslim countries, because you still want to impose your will and you don't respect elections, for example. So we can't change overnight. We have to take time, because even the Europeans took 200 years to become the democracy that they are today.
You talked about a nice point in the office where you said that Muslims are leaving Muslims' country towards Christian country. I would love to hear that from you. What do you think the reason for this movement?
They believe that in the Christian countries, in the European countries, there is stability, law is applied properly, equally, even to foreigners, and they can make a living in this country because there is no, the countries are very stable and the rule of law prevails in this country. If you do something wrong, then you are properly charged, tried in court, and the judge can pass judgment and you can still appeal. That process you don't see in Muslim countries.
Toon, in your leadership time, you gave Palestinians the right to come here and to be treated like Malaysians, and even to be given salaries. Why?
Well, it's because they cannot live in their own country. They are being oppressed by the Israelis, and they don't have a good government there because they are faced with a lot of wars and attacks. So when they come here, they find this country is peaceful compared to their own country, and they are treated not exactly like citizens of this country, but they are treated well. They are not oppressed. As long as they live according to the laws of this country, they're welcome to stay. But of course, they don't have the same rights as the citizens of this country.
Because of all what you said, because all of your point of views, your achievement, you have an amazing archive and amazing museum. So will you allow us to go there and see some of your pieces in your museum?
Yes, you're welcome. Because
Thank you.
We set up this thing in order to record and keep all the things that we have done to this country since independence.
You lead, Mr. Thank you.
شهدت ماليزيا في عهد رئيس وزرائها السابق مهاتير محمد ثورة صناعية كبرى لا مثيل لها، حيث كانت في السابق بلد يعتمد اعتماد كلي على الزراعة وتصدير المواد الأولية. انتقلت بعد ذلك لتكون أحد الدول الصناعية الكبرى في العالم، حيث يمثل قطاع الصناعة في ماليزيا ما يقارب 90% من الناتج الإجمالي المحلي. ونتيجة طبيعية لكل هذا التطور فقد انخفضت نسبة البطالة من 52% من تعداد السكان عام 1970 إلى 5% فقط عام 2002.
All those achievements, are they because of leadership or because of people?
Well, leadership plays a role, but the quality of the people is also very important. The quality of the people really refers to the culture and the value system. If the value system is wrong, then you fail.
And now we want to go through those different things, do you remember certain piece that it feels something for you important? Is there a certain piece that you feel it means a lot to you in this place?
In this place, well, these are the gifts that are given to me, which is very satisfying. But all the gifts that are given to me, I give back to the government. I don't take. Even motor cars and things like that are given to me as free gifts by different companies and all that. They don't belong to me, they belong to the people. And so I return to the government. There are huge exhibition halls in Langkawi where all these gifts are for the people to look at. It's theirs, it's not mine.
I saw many pictures here, but I didn't see the picture of the current Prime Minister. Why?
There are pictures, but he has not retired yet. But the previous one is here, the picture.
Okay. Now let's talk about the current Malaysia. You said in one of your interviews that you're not proud anymore of the Malaysia that you dreamed of.
Yeah. Well, today, Malaysia has been listed as the 10 most corrupt countries in the world. And the Prime Minister of this country is accused of stealing money of the people. So I can't be proud of that.
And do you think the solution comes from another leader, or should the people change the current situation of Malaysia?
The leader must change. But the people generally, they are still the same people. They know what they have to do, but they are not free to do the right things. The situation in the country has deteriorated. The economy is not doing so well. And therefore the people, even if they have capability, they cannot succeed.
You always say that not feeling proud of your country now is because of corruption. What is the main corruption, do you think, for a leader? Is it money?
It's money, it's money. You see, the leader believes that with money he can become very popular by giving money to people. But he hasn't got the money to give to people. And therefore he has manipulated the government company he sets up so that the money goes into his account.
And you said that even once, that you succeed in building Malaysia or Kuala Lumpur, but you didn't do that very well for the people. Do you think that you didn't have enough time to change people?
No, what I said about the people is that I could not change their culture enough. They changed a little, but not enough.
What change do you want more?
Well, people must be hardworking, must be honest, must like to acquire new knowledge, new skills, must maintain the stability of this country, and many other things that will contribute towards progress and development of this country.
You asked me before a minute ago in the break about Kuwait, and I answered you by saying that our issue that we're still relying on oil. And many other countries have announced, even in the GCC, that they'll be celebrating the last shipment of oil. And you replied with a perfect answer. Would you say that again?
Well, you cannot put all your eggs in one basket, as they say, because if anything happens, then you have no other second chance. So what they call the different ways of doing things. Malaysia was like that before. We depended upon rubber and tin. But rubber and tin, sometimes the price goes down very low and we become very poor. So now we have decided that we should industrialize, so that through industry, which is all different kinds of industries, if anything goes wrong with one industry, the other industries are still doing well, so we won't suffer so much. So diversification of the economy is the theme of the development of Malaysia, which must get away from rubber, tin, and palm oil into the industry, various kinds of industry, high-tech and ordinary production of simple products. All these things we must have the capacity to do in order to ensure that if anything happens to one industry, the other industries will be able to sustain the economic growth.
In the GCC and in the whole Middle East, after you, sir, in the Middle East and the whole GCC countries, we seek development. But as you said that stability is a must for any development. Do you think, and we're facing, a bit shake in the region, do you think that Iran has an influence on stopping stability in the region?
Well, Iran and all the countries have an influence, but the problem is, when you have a problem, you don't resolve it by confrontation. You resolve it by peaceful means. Now, in Malaysia, we have many neighbors, and we have differences with our neighbors. They claim some of our land, and we claim some of the land. And we settle that through negotiation or through going to the international court and asking the international court to pass a decision as to what belongs to whom. And because of that, we settle our problems with our neighbors without war. And because there is no war, it's stable, and because it is stable, we prosper.
Any message to Mahathir or to Dr. Mahathir, to the youth in my region?
Yeah, the youth will inherit the future, and they must be prepared for the future. They must identify what is wrong with their society, what are the value system which stand in the way of their development, and adopt a new system which can contribute towards their success. They have to do that even if they have to copy other people, they do that, or if as Muslims we have guidance from the Quran, and if we adhere to the teachings of the Quran, we are going to be successful. But today we are not following.
If there is a young person back in our region that is doing what you've done before way long time ago and trying to say for his own people the thing that they don't want to listen and face big problems and big resistance, what do you tell him so he can continue?
We have to explain why we are going to do certain things so that people understand and appreciate that it is for their own good. If they understand, that means the communication between the authorities and the people must be very good and very close, and we must listen to them, and they also should also listen to us. And then we have to find a solution that will be acceptable to them. And then, of course, there will be stability, and your plan will be able to succeed.
Thank you, Toon, for your time. And as we know that you love horses, you love ships, and we have a boat that represents our program, Kuwaiti boat, that represents the whole GCC and the region. This is a gift from us to you. And we know that you love them. We see some boats you have similar to that.
Yeah, okay.
And also, I have a book that I read, and I was amazed with many things that you said. I would love you if you sign this book, if you don't mind. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you for your time. Yeah. We enjoyed it, and hopefully many people will be inspired with what you said. Thank you for your time. جرت العادة أن يحدث السياسيين قواعدهم بما يحبون أن يسمعون، ولكن مهاتير هو من كسر هذه القاعدة واتبع قاعدة إلهية، وهي لا يغير الله ما بقوم حتى يغيروا ما بأنفسهم، فواجههم بالحقيقة المرة وقال: أنتم كسالى، أنتم اتكاليون، فصدقوه وأحبوه بل اتبعوه، وبنهاية المطاف وصلوا لما وصلوا إليه. خيرته ما بين الثلاث فاختار الاستقرار على الحرية وعلى الديمقراطية وعلى الاقتصاد. هكذا هي التنمية، هكذا هي فلسفتهم هنا، هكذا حازوا على التقدم. شكرا على المتابعة.